They say that pain is something to be avoided, to be cured, to be silenced. But what if pain isn't your enemy? What if behind every ache, every heartbreak, every silent wound, there's something else hiding? Something dark, yet strangely comforting. Because deep down you already know it. Some part of you finds pleasure in the very thing that hurts you. You deny it. You try to escape it. You drown it under noise, distractions, false happiness. But it waits, patiently, for the moment when you're alone, when the mask falls and you can finally feel what you've been running from. That subtle spark in the suffering, the quiet sweetness behind despair. That is what this story is about. The pleasure hidden in pain. Pain begins as resistance. It's the body's rebellion, the soul's reaction to something unbearable. But as time passes, you start to build a relationship with it. You recognize its pattern, its rhythm, its weight. It becomes familiar, almost intimate, like a voice whispering truths you didn't want to hear, yet can't ignore. And that's when the paradox begins. The more you resist it, the stronger it becomes. But the more you listen, the more it transforms. Pain, when faced without fear, becomes revelation. It starts showing you what no comfort ever could. Because comfort hides growth, pain exposes it. Comfort preserves illusions, pain tears them apart. There's a strange addiction that grows in the darkness, not to pleasure itself, but to the meaning that suffering brings. You start realizing that pain gives structure to your emptiness. It gives you a story. It makes you feel alive in a world where most people only exist. You tell yourself you want happiness, but you chase chaos. You say you want peace, but you seek the thrill of the wound. Because deep down, you've learned to equate pain with intensity, and intensity with purpose. The soft numbness of comfort feels like death. Pain, at least, makes you feel. Every scar becomes a secret badge. Every heartbreak becomes proof that you have lived. And the more you suffer, the more you start believing that you are somehow special for it, that your darkness makes you deeper, that your wounds make you real. But maybe, just maybe, that belief is another trap. Because there's pleasure in playing the victim of your own story. There's comfort in being the one who's been wronged. You can hide behind the pain and never risk the vulnerability of healing. You can define yourself by what's broken and never face the terror of being whole. Pain can become your identity. And once it does, it will protect you from the emptiness that lies beyond it. But here's the cruel irony. The same pain that gives you meaning will also consume you if you let it. It will whisper that you are nothing without it, that healing means losing yourself, that peace is just another form of death. And that whisper is seductive, because you start to love your wounds like old friends. You replay the moments that broke you, not because you enjoy the suffering, but because it's familiar, it's safe, you know how it feels. And safety, even in agony, is still safety. There's a strange addiction that grows in the darkness, not to pleasure itself, but to the meaning that suffering brings. you start realizing that pain gives structure to your emptiness. It gives you a story. It makes you feel alive in a world where most people only exist. You tell yourself you want happiness, but you chase chaos. You say you want peace, but you seek the thrill of the wound. Because deep down, you've learned to equate pain with intensity, and intensity with purpose. The soft numbness of comfort feels like death. Pain, at least, makes you feel. Every scar becomes a secret badge. Every heartbreak becomes proof that you have lived. And the more you suffer, the more you start believing that you are somehow special for it, that your darkness makes you deeper, that your wounds make you real. But maybe, just maybe, that belief is another trap. Because there's pleasure in playing the victim of your own story. There's comfort in being the one who's been wronged. You can hide behind the pain and never risk the vulnerability of healing. You can define yourself by what's broken and never face the terror of being whole. Pain can become your identity. And once it does, it will protect you from the emptiness that lies beyond it. But here's the cruel irony. The same pain that gives you meaning will also consume you if you let it. It will whisper that you are nothing without it, that healing means losing yourself, that peace is just another form of death. And that whisper is seductive, because you start to love your wounds like old friends. You replay the moments that broke you, not because you enjoy the suffering, but because it's familiar, it's safe. You know how it feels. And safety, even in agony, is still safety. There's a strange satisfaction in remembering the things that hurt you most. You don't just recall them, you relive them. Every word, every betrayal, every silence. And as much as you hate it, there's a hidden pleasure in it. A small flame that burns in the cold void of memory. Because pain, unlike happiness, doesn't fade easily. It stays. It carves you. It defines your shape. And the longer it stays, the more you begin to depend on it, like a companion you never invited, yet can't imagine life without. So you learn to live with it, to dress it in poetry, to romanticize your suffering. You call it depth. You call it truth. You call it art. But sometimes it's just another form of addiction, a craving for intensity, for meaning, for something that keeps you from feeling the unbearable lightness of being free. You might not realize it, but every time you fall back into sadness, every time you replay your pain, you are feeding a part of your mind that wants to keep you there. Because that part believes pain is control. That if you stay hurt, you stay in charge. No surprises, no new wounds, only the ones you already know. But what if pain was never meant to be your prison? What if it was meant to be your teacher? The truth is, pain has no purpose on its own. It reflects what you attach to it. It's a mirror, not of who you are, but of what you fear becoming. Every ache reveals an attachment. Every sorrow reveals resistance.
And when you stop resisting, something strange happens. The pain doesn't vanish. It changes form. It starts to show you the hidden architecture of your mind, the fears, the patterns, the endless chase between pleasure and suffering. You start to notice how both are part of the same mechanism. The human need to feel something, no matter the cost. This is the tragedy of being human. We fear numbness more than pain, so we return to the things that hurt us just to feel alive again. We mistake suffering for passion, heartbreak for depth, despair for truth. But what if real depth isn't found in the darkness of pain, but in what happens after it fades? You don't find peace by avoiding pain. You find it by walking through it, slowly, consciously, until it becomes transparent, until you see through the illusion that pain ever meant punishment. It never was. It was initiation, a passage, a door you had to walk through to meet yourself. And once you see that, pleasure and pain lose their opposites. They merge. You realize they were never enemies. They were mirrors, reflecting the same face under different light. Maybe that's why some people smile through their tears. Maybe that's why the most broken souls are the ones who can love the deepest, because they've seen what's on the other side of pain. And it's not pleasure, it's understanding. That's where true healing begins. The human mind is a master of contradictions. It craves the light, yet worships the dark. It longs for freedom, yet finds comfort in its chains. You've probably felt it too, that strange sense of control that comes from being lost. The quiet comfort in knowing your sadness so well, the joy feels almost foreign. But here's the hidden truth. Pleasure and pain are not two forces pulling you apart. They are the same current flowing through different phases of experience. The difference lies only in your resistance to them. When you resist pleasure, it turns into guilt. When you resist pain, it turns into suffering. And when you stop resisting either, you begin to see them for what they are: temporary waves in the ocean of your awareness. Every pleasure carries a seed of pain. Every moment of pain hides the echo of pleasure. They are bound together, eternally chasing one another, like shadows dancing in the light. But when you stop identifying with either, you find the stillness beneath them. That stillness is what you've been searching for all along. Maybe you think healing means to erase pain, to scrub it out of your story until only joy remains. But that's not healing. That's denial. Real healing doesn't erase pain, it integrates it. It allows you to hold both pain and pleasure without clinging to either. It turns the wound into wisdom, the scar into art. You see, there's something profoundly human in the way we seek beauty through suffering. We write songs about heartbreak, paint portraits of despair, build entire philosophies around our pain. Because deep down, we understand that pain reveals depth. It strips away the surface. It shows us what truly matters when everything else is gone. But there's a danger in worshiping it, because when pain becomes sacred, you might forget to live beyond it. You might start mistaking suffering for purpose. And that's how the darkness wins, not by destroying you, but by convincing you that there's nothing outside of it worth reaching for. So, you start to build your home inside the wound. You decorate it with memories, with regrets, with all the things you've lost. It feels familiar, almost warm. You tell yourself you're healing, but you're really hiding. Because healing isn't staying in the darkness and calling it depth. Healing is learning to open the door and walk out, even when the light burns your eyes.
There will always be pain. You can't escape it. But you can change how you meet it. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Because every pain holds a lesson wrapped in fire. Every heartbreak teaches you where you still cling. Every loss reveals what you never truly owned. And when you stop trying to escape it, you start to grow through it. There is pleasure in that transformation, not the shallow pleasure of escape, but the deeper pleasure of awakening. The moment when you realize that pain was never a punishment, it was a map leading you back to yourself. And when that realization hits, something changes in your eyes. You stop chasing intensity and start craving truth. You stop asking for comfort and start seeking clarity. Because you've understood the secret hidden in the abyss. That both pleasure and pain are illusions wearing the mask of meaning. Meaning doesn't come from what happens to you. It comes from how you face it. Think about it. The moments that changed you the most weren't the easy ones. They were the moments you thought you couldn't survive. Yet here you are, still breathing, still feeling, still searching. That's the hidden pleasure of pain. It breaks the illusion that you are fragile. It reminds you that you were forged in fire. And maybe, in a strange way, you start to love the process. Not the suffering itself, but the becoming. Because pain, when seen through, becomes light. It burns the illusions, clears the fog, and leaves only what's real. It's not about avoiding the dark. It's about walking through it with your eyes open. It's about realizing that every scream, every silence, every tear was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to wake you. And once you awaken, you can finally see the truth, that pain and pleasure were never the goal. They were the path, the whispers guiding you through the labyrinth of yourself. In the end, you'll look back and realize that every heartbreak, every fall, every lonely night was shaping you into something else. Not someone harder, but someone more aware. Someone who can look into the abyss and no longer tremble. That's when you stop asking life to be easy. You stop asking happiness to last. You stop chasing constant pleasure. Because you've learned that the beauty of existence is not in permanence, but in experience. You begin to thank your pain, not because you enjoyed it, but because it showed you what love really means. Not the romantic kind, not the fragile one that disappears with the first sign of fear, but the deeper kind, the love that exists without reason, the love that remains even when everything else burns away. That's the pleasure hidden in pain. Not the thrill of suffering, but the serenity that follows when you no longer fear it. The quiet moment when you realize that the darkness was never against you. It was a mirror, reflecting everything you refused to see. And when that understanding sinks in, you stop fighting life. You stop demanding that it always feel good. You start flowing with it, accepting its waves, its storms, its calm. Because you finally know, pleasure and pain were never opposites. They were dance partners, taking turns leading you toward truth. Maybe that's what freedom really is. Not the absence of pain, but the end of resistance to it. The moment you understand that every wound was a doorway, every tear was cleansing, every scar was a map pointing home. So the next time pain visits, don't run, don't beg it to leave. Sit with it, listen, ask it what it came to show you, because behind its sharp edges you might find something sacred, something gentle, something that feels strangely like peace. And in that peace, you'll hear the whisper that pain had been trying to tell you all along. You were never broken. You were only transforming. So breathe, stay present, let it hurt, let it heal. And when you're ready, step out of the abyss, not to escape it, but to understand it. Because once you understand the pleasure hidden in pain, the darkness no longer controls you. It becomes your light. And if these words reached you, if they echoed something buried deep inside, remember you are not alone in this journey. There are others walking through their own shadows, searching for the same understanding. So stay, listen, reflect, and if this message resonates with your soul, let it be known. Subscribe, share, and join this exploration of the abyss, because together we'll continue unveiling the truths hidden in the dark.